Hey, welcome to the Facebook page. This is Ben Ray, admissions counselor here at Gordon College. Just wanted to let you know that we have a special guest today, Dr. Cliff Hersey. He'll be meeting in a minute as we're going to go over to the Global Education Office, but just wanted to remind you of one thing. That's our last accepted student day. It's coming up on March 26th, so please register online. We'd love to see you here on March 26th. So all right, let's kick it over to Dr. Hersey in the Global Education Office. And we are in the Office of Global Education with Dr. Cliff Hersey, who is the Dean of Global Education here. And I just wanted to invite him with us here to share a little bit about what it's like to study abroad, what are some of the opportunities, and why Gordon believes so much in our global education program. You'll hear some statistics and some numbers showing how much we do, but I want to hand it over to you, Dr. Hersey, to share with us a little bit about Gordon's approach to studying abroad.
It's always a pleasure to talk about Gordon's off-campus programs opportunities, because Gordon is one of the few colleges within the CCCU that has such a refined program in sending its students abroad. Our office handles only those things that are academic programs, that are part of a transcript for which you receive academic credit. And of course, you probably know that there are lots of other opportunities beyond that for students to get involved in mission trips or local agencies and those kinds of things. But our office focuses on trying to expand a student's worldview with relationship to how they relate to people that are perhaps outside their experience across the world or across the tracks or anywhere. We deal with both domestic and international programs. And so we have lots of opportunities for students to be involved in short-term or semester-long or year-long programs, actually, depending upon what time you have in your schedule to be able to do that, and how that fits into your overall academic schedule here at Gordon. Let me just talk about a few of the programs that we have available for students. Gordon owns and operates 3 of its own programs, and those are all in Europe, both Eastern and Western Europe. Our oldest program is in Aix-en-Provence, France. And until recently, it was a program that only dealt with French students going abroad for complete immersion in French culture and language. But recently, we have expanded that curriculum, and we're inviting students who are interested in politics and in history and in religious studies to also perhaps be a part of that particular program abroad. Our most popular program probably is in Orvieto, Italy, where we have had a 10-year presence in this little town in Umbria in Italy. And it's based in visual arts and in creative writing and in European history. And it's a very popular program, as you can well imagine. People love going there. Our third program is in Romania. And we work alongside a very large organization owned and operated by a Gordon alumnus called the New Horizons Foundation. And this is a program for students to really get involved in working with the poor in the country and giving young people a vision for a future that they don't often see because they have no encouragement to see it. But beyond those programs that Gordon owns and operates, we have more than 25 programs that are approved programs that students may choose to be a part of. Now, not all of these programs are Christian programs, and they're not all based internationally. We do have programs in Europe and in China and Africa and Central America and South America, but we also have programs that are domestically oriented as well. In Washington, D.C., in Los Angeles, in Nashville, Tennessee, with the music industry, and so on. And we're very proud of our options available to students. In addition to these semester or year-long options that I've talked about, we also have a number of programs that are short-term in nature. They generally operate during the summertime or between the fall and spring semesters in January. But they're 3 to 6 week seminars that focus on a particular aspect of history or experience within the curriculum and are led by our own Gordon faculty. So there's lots of opportunities for students to get involved.
That's great. Now, some of the programs you mentioned obviously have a particular focus, but there's lots of different majors here at Gordon. So can any student from any major study abroad, or how does that work?
Yeah, well, in addition to your major, you're also going to do something called the core. And that's a broad look at lots of different areas of experience. And some of these programs will allow students to finish some of the core work. But it's possible for anybody in any major at Gordon to go abroad. And it's very well supported by the administration. There are some majors in which it's very difficult to find a full semester to be away. You know, people in the natural sciences or in art or in music or education sometimes have a little bit more difficult time, but with good planning, anybody can make this happen for themselves. And the really interesting thing about Gordon that you don't find in many of the other competing schools to Gordon is that the administration supports this program so well. Every student at Gordon is allowed to take their full financial aid package to go abroad or domestically to one of these programs, and all of the costs, including round-trip airfare, normally are covered.
Wow.
So it doesn't cost you any more to go to France or to China than it does to stay in Little Wenham here and be a part of the Gordon community. So we really encourage students to think about this very early in their program. Generally, it's juniors and seniors that go abroad, but start thinking about it as a part of the way in which you craft yourself and your experience here.
Wow, that's great. I know two of the values that we really hold on to here at Gordon is rigorous academics and the integration of faith and learning. So tell me, how are those factors are present in the global education?
As I mentioned, certainly our owned and operated programs in France and Italy and Romania would find that same integration available. Also, the best semester programs that are operated by the CCCU are faith-based programs. But some of our programs obviously are not faith-based, and we encourage students to be salt and light in those programs. We try to prepare them for the ways in which they may be challenged in terms of their worldview in those programs. But we hope by the time people here at Gordon are juniors and seniors, they have that strength of character and faith that they can go anywhere in the world and be change agents. And also to learn. I mean, that's really what's most important about global education, is not, I've got some way to solve a problem over there. But I'm going to set my worldview aside for a minute and try to learn from the people that are part of that community. Academic rigor is also very high in all these programs. Again, we strive to send students in their junior and senior years, which means we're looking for upper level experiences academically. Some of these programs are even research-based or internship-based, so that the student kind of gets a finishing experience as a part of an international community that then launches them on to graduate schools.
That's great. I know as our culture, our economy, all these things become increasingly globalized, it's so important that students, that the leaders, and the future generations have this experience under their belt. Maybe you could share a story or two about someone or some students you know who've really been impacted by this experience.
Sure. I think almost immediately of many of our students who have gone to the Oxford program. We have a program where students spend a full year at Oxford University. And you can imagine the transformative experience that becomes as they're encountering some of the best minds in the world for a full year. And they come back and finish their experience here at Gordon, and then are given entree into some of the best graduate programs in the world, either back in England or other places in the world. But I also think of the ways in which students have impacted both their work and the people with whom they live in the little town of Orvieto, Italy. This is a program where we send about 20 to 24 students a semester into a living learning situation in which they're producing art and they're producing good creative writing, and they're engaging themselves with the community. They often worship in 1,000-year-old churches, and they develop relationships with the people in this small town of 5,000 people. And Gordon has left evidences of itself in those communities, but what we like to say is we've received so much more from being part of a community that accepts us and tries to help us to understand a worldview that is sometimes different from the ones we bring into the experience. So our students go from there and are real transformed by the ways in which we integrate into communities like that.
Wow, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing today. If you want to get in touch with Dr. Hersey, you can email him. And thank you guys so much again for joining us. Please let us know if you have further questions or further areas that you're interested about here at Gordon College.
Thanks. Good to be with you, Ben.